I used to believe overthinking meant I was being responsible, that replaying conversations, reconsidering decisions, and analyzing every possible outcome meant I cared about getting things right. It felt careful, measured, even disciplined. But something never quite matched that belief, because the more I thought, the less I moved. Simple decisions felt heavier than they should. Moments that should have passed quietly stayed with me long after they were over. Overthinking rarely announces itself as a problem. It arrives dressed as awareness. You tell yourself you're being thorough. You tell yourself you're avoiding mistakes. You tell yourself you're just making sure everything is clear before you act. From the outside, nothing seems wrong. Inside, momentum slowly disappears. Small choices begin to take longer. Ordinary conversations replay hours after they end. You hesitate, not because you lack direction, but because you're waiting to feel completely certain before taking a step. And certainty rarely arrives that way. The strange thing about overthinking is that it promises clarity, yet often produces the opposite. The more angles you examine, the harder it becomes to stand anywhere. Every possibility begins to compete for attention, and the mind treats them all as equally urgent. Nothing dramatic happens. Life continues as usual, but progress becomes quieter. Confidence becomes slower. Energy gets spent before anything even begins. That's how overthinking holds people back, not through failure, but through delay. You don't move later because you hesitated earlier. You don't speak because the perfect phrasing never arrives. You don't act because another scenario might still exist. It feels responsible in the moment. Later, it feels heavy. There's a subtle shift that happens when someone begins to loosen that habit. Not dramatic. Not sudden. Decisions become shorter. Conversations end when they end. Moments stop following you into the next hour. Nothing about the outside world changes much. But internally, something quiet returns, a sense that not every thought needs to be examined before it's allowed to pass. Clarity doesn't always come from thinking more. Sometimes it appears when thinking stops circling the same question. Overthinking convinces people that movement requires complete certainty. In reality, most movement only requires enough clarity to begin. And beginning, even quietly, often brings more understanding than another hour of mental rehearsal ever could. The people who appear calm under pressure are not always thinking less because they know more. Often, they simply allow fewer thoughts to stay longer than they deserve. Over time, that creates something subtle but powerful. More presence, less friction, and decisions that feel lighter because they are no longer competing with endless internal debate. Nothing about this looks dramatic from the outside. There is no sudden breakthrough moment, just a gradual return of mental space. Moments pass when they are supposed to pass. Choices get made without needing to feel perfect. Attention stops getting tied to thoughts that were never meant to stay. And when that happens, forward movement doesn't feel forced anymore. It feels natural. Subscribe if this reflection felt familiar. And if overthinking has ever quietly slowed you down, leave a comment. No explanation needed.